All right. Yesterday you reviewed evaluating algebraic expressions and solving multi-step equations. For SOL review today, we are going to review solving multi-step inequalities. Now, the good news is solving multi-step inequalities involves using the same 5 steps that you use to solve a multi-step equation. You distribute if it's necessary. Then you combine like terms on the same side. Then you cancel the smallest variable. Then you undo adding or subtracting. And last, you undo multiplying or dividing. Now, on this last step, I want you to remember there were 2 questions you had to ask. Is it a flipper? And you flip the sign if you divide by a negative. And then, is it a flopper? And remember, you flop it if the variable isn't first. And that does flop the entire answer. So let me take a second to show you what I mean. If you're solving one of these problems and you were to get 2 is less than or equal to x, in these answers you always want the x to go first. So instead of 2 is less than or equal to x, you'll write this as x is greater than or equal to 2. So the x and the 2 trade places and the sign flips over as well. So that's what a flopper is, when you rewrite it so that the variable comes first. So same steps as we used for multi-step equations, but we do have those 2 added questions at the end about is it a flipper, is it a flopper. So, some examples. 6x plus 1 is less than 9 minus 2x. I would still, if I were you on these, draw a line through that inequality symbol. And then we go through the 5 steps. So, do we need to distribute on this problem? The answer is no. Can we combine like terms on the same side? No like terms over here, no like terms over here, so we can't do that one either. So we're up to step 3, cancel the smallest variable. Your variables are 6x and negative 2x. Negative 2 is definitely the smallest, so to cancel that, we'll do the opposite and add 2x. To both sides. These will cancel. So let's see what we have now. We have 8x plus 1 is less than 9. Alright, so we're up to step 4, undo adding or subtracting. We see adding 1, so we will subtract 1. That gives us 8x is less than 8. And then undo multiplying or dividing. Here we are multiplying by 8, so we need to divide by 8. Is it a flipper? No, because I divided by a positive number, so I get x is less than 1. Would this be a flopper? No, because the variable is first. Now I do want to remind you here that when we get this answer of x is less than 1, that we did graph that on a number line. The 1 either gets an open or a closed circle, and that's determined by whether this symbol is underlined or not. Since this symbol is an underline, the 1 would get an open circle. And then we would shade in the same direction that this points. So we would go to the left. So that's what the graph for that would look like. Because they could definitely ask you about that on your SOL test. So open or close circle and then shade in the direction that it points. But remember, the variable has to be first. All right, so here's another one. 3x minus, in parentheses, 2x minus 7 is less than or equal to 34 minus 6x. All right, draw your line through the sign. Do we need to distribute? We sure do. Notice we have a minus and then no number here, so we put a 1 there. So we bring down 3x and we do negative 1 times 2x, which is negative 2x. We also do negative 1 times negative 7, which is positive 7. So step 1 is done. We have distributed. All right, step 2 is to combine like terms on the same side. On this first side, I do see like terms, 3x and negative 2x. So if I combine those, 3x minus 2x is 1x plus 7 is less than or equal to 34 minus 6x. There is a 1 there. All right, step 3 is to cancel the smallest variable. I have 1x and I have negative 6x. Negative 6 is the smaller, so I would add 6x to cancel that out. So I get 7x plus 7 is less than or equal to 34. All right, undo adding or subtracting. I am going to subtract 7 on both sides, which gives me 7x is less than or equal to 27. And then undo it. Multiply or divide. I'll divide both sides by 7. Is this a flipper? The answer is no, because I divided by a positive 7, so I get x is less than or equal to 27 over 7. All right, so there's my answer on that one. Now, graph for this one. (27/7) would get a closed circle this time because that symbol is underlined, and then the shading would go in that direction. All right. Let's get one last one in here. All right, let's go through our 5 steps. Do we need to distribute? Yes. So we'll do negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. Minus 3x is less than 2x plus 18. All right, can we combine like terms on either side? And the answer is on the first side we can. We see negative 3x and negative 3x, so we're going to combine those. Negative 3x minus 3x is negative 6x. Minus 6 is less than 2x plus 18. All right, so we distributed, we combined like terms. Now for step 3, we're going to cancel the smallest variable. So when you look at this, you see negative 6x, you see positive 2x. You're going to cancel out the negative 6x, it's smallest. by doing the opposite and adding 6x to both sides. These cancel. So now you have negative 6 is less than 8x plus, making a mess out of that, plus 18. All right, now time to undo adding or subtracting. Cover up 8x, you see plus 18, so you will subtract 18 to cancel it out. That gives you a negative 24 is less than 8x. And then undo, multiply, or divide. We're going to divide both sides by 8. Is this a flipper? The answer is no, because we're dividing by a positive 8. So we're going to get negative 3 is less than x. But is this a flopper? The answer is yes, because we want this x to go first. So we're going to flop the entire answer and make it x is greater than negative 3. Now, if I were graphing this on a number line, this symbol is not underlined, so negative 3 would get an open circle. This points right, so I would draw my arrow to the right. So, same 5 steps that we were using when we were solving multi-step equations, but we do have to remember at the end the flippers and the floppers. Now, again here, let me just remind you that you could also put these on your Desmos calculator. So let's put this one that we just did in. Type it in just like you see it. So we'll do negative 3, parentheses, x plus 2, close parentheses, minus 3x is less than 2x plus 18. Okay, now, notice how the answer we got, x is greater than negative 3, applies to this. If I click on this point, there's my negative 3. The dotted line means that the symbol is not underlined. The dotted line is like that open circle. And then notice that the shading is to the right. So this symbol in the answer has to point to the right. So x has to be greater than negative 3. So you can do these on your calculator as well. Let's look at this one. We can do 6x plus 1 is less than 9 minus 2x. So notice there's the 1. We got x is less than 1. There's the 1. Dotted line means the open circle. The symbol's not underlined, and the shading is going to the left, so that symbol needs to point left. And just for the heck of it, let me show you what happens if I change this to less than or equal to. Notice that the line now is solid. So if this line is solid, that symbol is underlined. If that line is dotted, it's not underlined. All right, so you can do those on the calculator as well. So try today's problems. If there are any questions, then please let me know.